Hey guys, working on the 2013 Ford Focus ST 2.0 liter EcoBoost again, and I'm still having issues with the idle on this car, and then occasionally I'm getting a cold misfire on cylinder number 3 popping up for some reason. So if you watch some of the previous videos, I did replace all 4 spark plugs plus the coils, and then also did the vacuum pump was leaking, also replaced the PCV valve assembly, but I still seem to be having issues with it. So I did go ahead and check the purge valve. That seems to be fine. I know that's a common issue on these cars as well. Checked all my vacuum lines, boost control solenoids, intake tube, and then when I did that PCV valve, the throttle body was clean, and that had been replaced before my son bought this car. So we don't really know the history on this car, but it does have 177,000 on it, so it is high mileage. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and pull that intake back off, and I'm going to go ahead and check those valves. I know that's another known issue on these cars as well, especially these EcoBoost engines, is those valves start to get caked with carbon and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and take that intake off, take a look, and let's see if we can get these valves cleaned up. So go ahead and pull off your engine cover there. That just pops right off. Next, you can go ahead and unplug your map sensor here. Just push in on this tab, pulls out like that. So then just below that, you'll see this line going into the intake. That's going to your purge valve. And you can see there's that white clip on there. So what you can do is reach back behind here with a pick or a screwdriver. Get up kind of under that to where it's like that. Then get your pick in here and then just kind of turn it, and watch out because this clip will fly off of here. So if you can get up under here, to turn it, so you can remove that clip just like that. And then if you reach back behind here, so there's another clip on here, but this time what you'll do is you'll push with your finger, and as you're pushing in, that's going to release this clip, and then you can pull it off. So if you try to reach back here, so push in on that white clip, and this should just pop right off of here, just like that. And then you can get this out of the way here. Here's what I'm talking about. Take this zoom off. So you just push in on this part here, and you can see how that kind of spreads those open, and then you can pull off. And then you can go ahead and just unclip these out of here, or you can just take the whole thing off if you want. It doesn't really matter. Just kind of get this out of the way here. Just watch out, make sure you don't bend it. So what you do next is go ahead and remove your sound composer. As you can see, this one has a delete kit on it. But what it is just 2 8mm bolts, and then you can pull that out of the way. So next I'm going to go ahead and loosen up this 7mm, go into our throttle body in the boot there. So go ahead and loosen that up. Next, grab a 10mm. Let's go ahead and remove the intake bolts here. So you're gonna have 1 right there, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one, kind of hard to see, but it's gonna be back down in there. So let's go ahead and remove all 5 of those. Next, we can go ahead and kind of pull this intake outward here. We got our PCV valve in that. You can also go up out of the throttle body boot here. So pull it kind of like that. And you can see our PCV valve there. So we'll go ahead and disconnect that. And then you may have these electrical connectors as well, which are connected to these little spots right here on both sides. But you can see these ones are broken off. So it's kind of hard to see, but hopefully you guys can see it. Well, you can see there's your PCV valve. What you'll do to get this hose off of here, you're gonna squeeze and that'll come off. So you may need to use 2 fingers to do this, but just try and squeeze those 2 tabs. And it should just pop off in here. There we go. So it takes a little bit. So kind of get that out of the way. And then you got your throttle body here. So just pull out on that locking tab. And then you should be able to just squeeze that. So you got a little tab there you squeeze. And that'll unplug from there. Get that out of the way. Okay, so with the intake out of the way, now we can have access to all our valves. And it's just going to go by from left to right cylinder number. So you got cylinder 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So you can grab a flashlight. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. So look down into cylinder 1. And you can see the valve down in there. Let me see if I can zoom in here. And you can see that valve looks like it's closed. You can just see all the carbon buildup and how nasty it is. Let's take a look at the other one here. Same thing. You can just see it's totally caked in carbon. Like I said, we don't really know the history on this vehicle, but it looks like they never got these valves cleaned. Let's go over here to cylinder number 2. See, same thing on that one. Same there, and that one looks like it's closed as well. And then cylinder number 3 here. You can see same thing on that one. You can just see how it's caked all along there. So that's cylinder number 3, and it looks like that one is actually closed as well. So cylinder number 4 here. You can see that one's all caked as well. And you can see that the valves are open on cylinder number 4. So it looks like cylinder 4 is open and then the other 3 are closed, but I'll double check that. So yeah, looks like I got a little bit of cleaning to do. With this valve being open, you don't want to scrape this or anything because you don't want any of that carbon chunks to get down past the valve there. So you want to make sure when you're cleaning this that the valves are closed. And I'll show you here how I'm going to do that. All right, so since I know the valves are open on cylinder number 4, and I can tell these ones are all closed, I'm going to go ahead and just take some of this like painter's tape, cover this cylinder number 4 up so I don't get any carbon chunks or debris down inside that cylinder here. So just do something kind of like that. And you guys could always just use a rag if you wanted to as well. Works the same. So just something kind of like that. And then you can just take a rag or something, go ahead and stick that down in here so you don't get any debris in that as well. All right guys, so the way I'm gonna do this is I got my blow tool here. So I'll probably stick that down in there and try to blow as much of the chunks out first as I can. And then I'm I'll be using just some picks, a screwdriver, just to kind of scrape. And then I also just ran by Walmart, and they sell these little mini brushes in the paint department. You can see they're only like $3.30 for this whole pack. So I got a couple packs of these. Not sure, but we'll see if we can get down in there with these. Hopefully we can. And then also just picked up some carb and choke cleaner, and then some brake clean as well, which we'll see about using at the end here. Not really sure yet. I'm gonna see what I can get off with the picks and that. So like I said, I'll go ahead and I think what I'll do first is go ahead and just try and blow some of this out, and let's see what all we can get out of this. And then again, just make sure before you do this that these valves are closed. You do not want to get any of this down past the valve into the combustion chamber there. So make sure you're totally sure that those valves are closed. You may want to wear safety glasses because some of them chunks are pretty big that shoot out at you. So I'm going to go ahead and do this a little more, and then we'll go ahead and take my flashlight and my pick, and I'll try and just start scratching at some of that. All right, guys, so it's kind of hard to do this and record at the same time. So I went ahead and I just got cylinder 3 all cleaned up here, and I'll show you here. Let me go ahead and zoom in. Hopefully you guys can see. You can see there's cylinder number 3. It's a little better, and like all I did was just keep scraping all the carbon off with my picks, blowing it out, scrape, blow it out, scrape, blow it out. Just keep repeating that process just to get all that off of there, and then get all the carbon off around the valve stem as well. There's the other side here. So you can see, you're not going to get them perfect and shiny and new. And I wasn't able to get those brushes down there. They were just a little bit too big. But, and then again, here's cylinder number 2, which I haven't done. And you can see just how dirty those ones are. So that, compared to that, is a lot better. So yeah, if you take a look here, these are those brushes. You can see they're just a little bit too big to fit in here. So I may run by the hardware store tomorrow, see if I can find a smaller one. But the main thing I've been using is these 2 picks here. These are just some old Craftsman's one I had laying in my toolbox. But what's nice is this one here, you can see how it kind of curves. So you can really get up in those crevices and just start digging at that carbon. And then this one here as well, same thing, just get up in there. And what's nice about these 2 is you can get on the valve stem, get back behind there and just start scraping all that off of there. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process on cylinder 1 and 2. I'll get those all clean, and then I'll probably call it a night. I might soak those in some brake clean. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do that and let it sit overnight. And then I'll run by the hardware store tomorrow and see if I can find something better to kind of get in there, like a bottle cleaner or something. I can hook it up to a drill and really spin in there just to try to get the rest of that off of there. So let me go ahead and do those 2 cylinders. And then one other thing as you're doing this, it will make a mess. You can see how much is blown, so it's a good thing we put a paper towel in there. But you can see it just gets all over the place, all over the floor. And then also this will kill your back too, leaning over. So I'm on my knees here just trying to work on this. Okay, so as you saw, I just did this one here. Of course, I need to do more, but I just want to show you how much is going to come out of this when I blow it out here. If you guys can see it. So you can kind of see just how much came out of that. And then, like I said, you can see it's just all over the car and everything, so it will make a huge mess doing this. Okay guys, so I was able to get cylinder 1 and 2 cleaned out. I'll show you here real quick if you guys can see or not. You can see right there, that looks a little better. Same with that one. And then cylinder 1, I could probably use a little more scraping on cylinder 1 here, but I think I'm gonna call it a night for now. And then I'll just show you here on cylinder 3 what I did. Let me zoom in here. So I took some carb cleaner and I sprayed it down in there and I let it sit for a little bit, and then I used a paper towel to soak it up and then some compressed air to dry it all off, and you can see that looks a little better in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak, probably just soak all 3 of these and just let them sit overnight, and then we'll see what it looks like in the morning. So I'll just show you what I'm doing here. So just taking some of the carb cleaner here, and I'll just spray down in here. And you can see it down in there, and you can see it kind of like bubbles up there, so it's eating away at some of that carbon. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the rest of these as well. So just kind of like that. You can see it down in there. Same with that one. So I'll go ahead and just let this sit and try to eat some of that carbon up. We'll see how it looks in the morning. All right guys, so it's the next day. Went ahead and let those soak overnight here. Let me go ahead and zoom in. And as you can see, so there's still some carburetor cleaner down in there. So it did not evaporate, but went ahead and let that soak. So now let's go ahead and show you what else I picked up. So I just ran by the local Harbor Freight and I picked up these wire brushes here. So I think this might work a little better. I'll try to put a link in the description for it. Item 61923. And then I also picked this up as well, which is some more. They're a little bit larger ones, but I think these ones are gonna do the best here. So while that carburetor cleaner is still down in there, I'm gonna go ahead and take those brushes and we'll just start cleaning there, and then we'll soak it up with a paper towel and blow it out. So once you're done scrubbing those, what I'm gonna do next, just take a clean rag here and I'm gonna kind of just twist it up like this. Go ahead and stick it down in the cylinder there, and then kind of just stick your screwdriver, poke it down in there a little bit, and I'll let that paper towel soak up most of that carb cleaner there. And then while it's in there, I'll just do the same thing, just kind of turn it while it's in here. And then you go ahead and pull that out. And you can see all the black and carbon on that as well. And I think that soaked up most of it, so the rest of it will blow out with some air. So let me go ahead and do that to the rest of these, and then we'll come back and blow out these cylinders. So once you get that all done, what you'll do next, take your blow tool here, and I'm gonna go ahead and stick this down here with a rag, kind of holding it. You don't want any of that shooting out at you. So just kind of stick your hose down in there, get your paper towel wrapped around it nice and tight, and then go ahead and blow that out. And all that liquid should just go onto your rag there. And then we'll go ahead and do the same to the other cylinders, because yeah, it's dry down in there now. So let me go ahead and knock out the rest of these. You can see how bad that one was. All right guys, so let's go ahead and take a look here. And as you can see, try to get my camera in focus. Zoom in a little bit here. But look at that, that looks way better. So just letting those sit and soak overnight helped a lot. And I think just that wire brush, you can see, they're not gonna get them perfect, you know, this ain't a 5-minute job. You gotta take your time and really scrape these valves to get all that carbon off. There's that one, cylinder 1. But you can see that is 10 times better than what it was, even on the sides there. That looks good. Okay, so one more thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try some brake clean. I'll go ahead and spray that down in there. I'll scrub again, and then we'll see if they get any cleaner. I'm not sure if it's gonna do much more. But like I said, I'll go ahead and fill this up again. I'll use my wire brush. We'll just scrape all these one last time, and then we'll blow them out again. All right guys, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what that brake clean did. Hopefully you guys can see, but it looks like it did actually help, especially on the sides, as you can see. So yeah, you can see how that's, the aluminum on the side there's really clean now. So I think that brake clean did actually help. And if you saw in the video, the rags were pretty black as well. So just go ahead and get all that blown out. Make sure you get every piece of carbon out of there with your blow tool. Make sure it's dry down in the cylinder and everything. And now we can go ahead and I'll pull this tape off. We'll go ahead and put fresh tape over these 3 since they're done. And then we can go ahead and rotate the engine to get cylinder 4 valves closed. All right guys, so as you can see, got the tape off of cylinder number 4, and then I went ahead and just put a long piece over all 3 of those since they're all clean now. Now we need to rotate the engine. If you take a look down here, not sure if you guys can see that, but the crankshaft pulley there, that big one at the very bottom, that should be a 19 millimeter or 3/4, I believe. So we're gonna need to get a socket on that, and we're gonna need to rotate the engine clockwise, and we're gonna have to keep checking up here, and then we'll have to wait and see when that valve closes. So when that valve gets closed, then we can go ahead and start cleaning this one up here. All right guys, so go ahead and crawl underneath here, and I did just jack up the passenger front there really quick just to give us a little more room down here. But as you can see, this one's missing the skid plate, and you can kind of just move this fender well out of the way. So if you take a look, you got your AC compressor here, and then your crankshaft's gonna be right there. And it's not a 19 millimeter, it's actually a 21 millimeter. So grab you a socket and a wrench, get that on there. And what we're gonna do is rotate the engine, and then we'll go up top, we'll check it, and we'll just keep rotating it until that cylinder number 4 valve is closed. So go ahead and rotate it. Let me go ahead and crawl up top and just see. So if you take a look here, looks like that's gonna do it. Get this out of the way here. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. And as you can see, so just from moving it that little bit, not sure if you guys can tell, try to get you a better view here, but I can tell, yeah, I can't get you a really good view here, but it is closed. So now both of these valves are closed, so we'll call that good. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Just go ahead and start scraping that valve, blow it out, and then we'll go ahead and soak it in the carb cleaner again, and then also the brake clean. So I just want to show you guys here, I do have this little camera here, and hopefully you guys can, hoping you guys can see this on here. If I stick this down in here, you can just see all that carbon caked on the sides, on the stems, and then you can also see this valve. These valves are closed, but yeah, there's that one, and then this one here, kind of the same thing. Just see how it's all caked in there, right where the valve seats. You can see just how much we need to scrape off. So I'll go ahead and get this one cleaned up, and then I'll use this camera again at the end here, and we'll see how clean this one gets. Okay guys, so I got cylinder 4 all done. Of course, I'll only let that carb cleaner sit in there for about a half hour or so, and I'll show you here. Looks like it did about the same results as when I just left it sit overnight, but you can see there, that looks a lot better. And then same thing on that one too. So let me go ahead and grab my camera here real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like down inside there. All right, so let me try to get you guys the best angle here. So if we take a look down in here, you can see there's our valve. You can see that looks way better all along there. So that looks 10 times better. Let's check this other one here. Same thing, go down in there. You can see that did a pretty good job. Got most of that carbon off of there. Same with on the stems there. So I'm gonna say that's probably pretty good. So what I'm gonna do next is just put a piece of tape over this because we know it's clean. And then I'm gonna go ahead and blow all this carbon that's everywhere. We'll go ahead and blow that off. And then we can go ahead and untape that, and we'll get our intake back on. So you can see it got that taped off, and then also just make sure your rag's still in there. But I'm just gonna go ahead and blow all this off. You can see there's just carbon just everywhere, all over the place, even up in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just blow this off real quick, and then we can take our tape off and get that rag out of there. So once you get that all blown off, you can go ahead and pull your tape off of here, which I already did. And then I just took brake clean on a rag and just wiped this whole surface down just to make sure that's clean. Now we can go ahead and pull this rag out of here. As you're doing this, just be careful. You can see all the crud that's down in there. So just try and pull this out of here without dropping any of that. Next, go ahead and grab your intake. We'll go ahead and put it down in this tube here. We'll get the throttle body hooked up and everything. And then also, as you guys are doing this, just be careful because your starter's right here. You don't want to arc any of that since I did not disconnect the battery. I probably should have, but if you guys want to do that before you start this whole project, just go ahead and disconnect your battery. That way you're not going to arc that or anything. So go ahead and get your throttle body down in here, and I'll probably go ahead and plug this in. Since it's kind of hard to get in here. Let's go ahead and plug that in. And then close that red locking tab. Just like that. And then if you want, like I said, these things here snap onto this little portion on the back here, but some of these were disconnected. So what you want to do now is get it down into the tube there, And also we need to get this PCV valve hose snapped into the intake here. So it's kind of a pain to do this. So just kind of get it situated down in there. Something kind of like that. And then try to get your PCV hose on here. And you'll hear it snap. Then you know it's on there. Click into place. So just kind of get it set on there for now. Get it down into the hose there. And then what you can do, reach around here. Of course my arm's gonna get in the way. Let me go ahead and move my camera here. So you'll get your throttle body somewhat down into your boot there. And then just make sure this PCV hose clicks in here. If not, you'll have a vacuum leak. Actually, let me get it lined up a little better here. Get that throttle body down in there. And you got these little dowels. Let me zoom out here. So you got this little dowel here, which will go into the top of the intake there. So let's get a few bolts started here. So once you get those snug by hand, it's a lot easier. You can reach under here and feel for that PCV hose. Get that on there. And like I said, just push hard and you'll hear it click, just like that. And then you know it's on there. Next, go ahead and tighten up your hose clamp here on your boot. Just make sure that it's pushed up all the way like that. You're all the way on the throttle body there. Go ahead and tighten that up. Next, you would hook up your symposer, your sound symposer here, but like I said, this one has a delete. But you got your two 8mm bolts, and you'll go ahead and connect that, and then you got that hose coming off of it as well. So now you can go ahead and bring around your purge valve here. Get that under these clips here. And then go ahead and connect that down and underneath here. If you can get your hand in there. Push that on, make sure it clicks. Just like that. And then you can hook up this line as well. Snap that on there. And then you can go ahead and hook up your map sensor here. Go right there. Make sure that's on there. And then if you can, grab this little clip that we took off earlier and try to get that on there. You may have to move this up a little bit, but it's gonna go on there like that. It's really hard to get your fingers in here. Just like that. So last thing we need to do is go ahead and tighten up these intake manifold bolts here. And those are going to be 15 foot-pounds. I'm gonna start at the center here and then work my way out. So start here. Then I'll go to this one. Back over to this one. Come over here. And then back over to this one. That one's kind of tricky to get to there. Just like that. And then don't forget to remove your socket wrench off of your crankshaft here. And I'll go ahead and get my jack out of here. Then go ahead and get your engine cover back on here. Just double check, make sure everything's plugged back in. Nothing's kinked. That all looks good. All right, so let's go ahead and start it now. So you can see the idle there, a little high right now, but it usually is when you first start it. We'll see if that drops down here. I'll go ahead and let this run for a little bit. But it seems to be idling better than it was, because before it would kind of just bounce up and down. But it seems to be pretty steady now, and it should run a lot better with them valves cleaned up. Get a lot more air intake and everything. So I'll go ahead and let this idle for a little bit here. Okay guys, so I let this run for a little bit here. You can see we're starting to climb up on temperature now. And you can see that idle is actually holding pretty steady now. So I think that was one of the issues. Because like I said, that would just kind of bounce up and down, and you can see it's barely moving now. So that definitely helped with the idle. Like I said, it almost seemed like you had a vacuum leak, but looks like that took care of it. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for the video. Again, this was a 2013 Ford Focus ST 2.0 liter EcoBoost. Went ahead and pulled the intake and cleaned the valves off. And this is a common issue on these cars, these EcoBoost engines, just because they're a direct injection motor. So you don't have the, just like the port injection, you don't have the fuel injectors dumping fuel in those valves, cleaning them off. So you want to do this every once in a while, clean them valves off, and get all that carbon off of them. So hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, why don't you subscribe to the channel, check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.